On the show today, we're sharing a secret about a major change we're making to the way we support you.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Laura's, the podcast where we share tips, advice and inspiration to help you to create a business you love working in, one that pays you so well you really can have the freedom you want. Before we get into the good stuff, we'd love to know where you're listening from today. Sometimes it can feel like we're talking to ourselves when we're recording these podcasts, so please snap a selfie, take a screenshot, tag us in your stories and let us know where you're at. And on today's show, we're spilling the beans on a big change we're about to make to the way that we support you. If you've been in our world for a while, then this might come as a big surprise to you. But we'll be spilling the beans on why we've made this decision and how it's going to affect you. So, shall we crack on and explain what it is? Or do we need a bit more of a build-up, do you think?
Oh, let's just eke it out for at least another 5 minutes.
Okay, what, with a bit of awkward small talk?
I could sing.
Oh, no.
Oh. Okay, no, let's crack on. So, do you want to say it or shall I say it?
You say it, I'm scared. That's my people-pleasing coming out again.
Yeah. Can I just say that this has been one of our hardest decisions we've ever made?
God, it really has. This has been a decision we've made, then changed our minds, then made again, then changed our minds again, probably 6 times.
We actually prepared this podcast probably like a year ago. And then obviously never recorded it. Never recorded it because obviously we then changed our mind and changed it back again, changed it. Anyway, so we are closing our free Facebook group, the Social Media Managers Hub.
We are. It's like the end of an era.
It is, because that was the first thing we ever did.
Yeah.
That's how it all began, that group, which I think is why we've got this emotional attachment to it.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia of that very first week. If you were there in that first week, you know what we're talking about. Yes.
It was a ride.
It was a ride. But it's time to end that point in our lives and move on. So should we talk a bit about why we've come to this decision?
This is where we need, like on the radio and they have that music.
Didn't that used to be Steve Wright?
Yeah, Late Night Love.
Yeah, something like that. I love it. Okay, go on then.
So why are we doing it? Oh God, why?
Well, there's loads of reasons. These are not in any particular order.
This is where we're going to change our mind.
Yeah, these are not in any particular order, but one of them is because Facebook is a knob. The way that people use Facebook has changed a lot since we started our group, hasn't it? And the way that groups work has changed a lot since we started using it. So that is one of the reasons. It's not really the best place for us to be spending tons of time in a free group anymore. So that is one of the reasons.
We could sit there and tag at everyone in every single post. Could you imagine? Like, we have taken a stand on that. And that's not to say that we won't use it when, or you may have been now tagged in at everyone, just to let you know about the group closing. But yeah, on the whole, that's a strategy that we don't necessarily enjoy being on the receiving end of.
100%.
But yeah, so groups are difficult. That's not to say that if you're working in groups or you've got successful groups, that's not to say that you don't need to be closing yours. But that has been one part of the reason why we've decided to close it.
It's important to say that the Inner Hub community is a Facebook group, and that is a brilliant Facebook group.
Yeah.
Very different. And I think, like, if you're managing Facebook groups, you will probably know different Facebook groups work so differently. It's so bizarre. But yeah, it's a different vibe.
I think in the Inner Hub, there's a much more of a community feel.
Definitely.
And a community vibe, so that keeps the group alive. The Hub, the Social Media Managers Hub, so the free group is much more... there's less give and take. There's more, I hate to say this, it's more take. It's people go in, they've got a question, they want an answer, they don't necessarily go and engage. And this is a sweeping statement. There are people in there who give just as much as they take, but this is on the whole, the group has changed. And there's a lot of expectation in there for a free group.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of people who take the piss in the free group in terms of, so how we manage it and our time, like People try and promote themselves all the time. They want it to be like a sales, they want to sell themselves, and that's not the vibe we've ever wanted. They want to promote services to other social media managers. So the kind of admin of managing that group has increased considerably.
Yeah.
And we've always felt very strongly about protecting that group to make it be a place of people don't feel like they're being sold to all the time, that there's, snaky people in there. So we have to consider where we put our resource. And for us, we just don't think that is now the best way that we can support social media managers.
Definitely. It just takes so much time. And we're quite time poor, and we want to help, in better ways. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons for sure.
And I think it's fair to say as well, when you offer a free group and free resources and free support, people are less likely to take action.
Oh, 100%.
When we offer support and advice and training in our paid products and services, people take action.
Yeah.
But when it's for free, people don't. They don't kind of listen as well. They don't it's because it's free. There's no value to them to kind of, you've got no
skin in the game, have you?
Skin in the game, yeah. So, and that's frustrating for us because, we go and we give advice and we tell people in there, oh, you should do this, 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 this. And then they don't take action. Then 6 months later, we can see they're asking the same question. And we can go back and look at what questions people have asked historically. And it's like, God, if you'd have just done this 18 months ago when you first asked, you wouldn't still be in this position now. So that's frustrating for us. So we want to offer a different way to support people in a way that is kind of nurturing and supportive, but also encouraging people to take action. And that free group is not that thing.
No, definitely not. So yeah, the group is closing. It's closing on the 31st of January, 2025, if you're listening to this podcast in the future. Yeah, and after that, the group will no longer be there. We'll be archiving the group, so if you're in there, you'll still be able to go back and obviously see your old posts, but the group will be closed. There won't be any more content being put in there. You won't be able to post in there, etc. Yeah, it does feel like a bit weird to be sharing this, I have to say.
I know, yeah. It's making me feel a bit sick.
Okay, let's flip it from all the negatives of Facebook group and go into what we're going to do instead, because I think there is some big positives here that we could definitely do instead. The first thing is, of course, we're going to still be here on the podcast every single week in your ears, sharing lots of advice and information and tips and probably the few random sayings that Laura will pick up along the way.
And I do think it's worth saying that based on the kind of feedback we get from people take more value from this podcast than they do the group.
Yes.
So although this isn't necessarily the most easiest form of marketing, it's certainly not the cheapest form of marketing. But actually for us, in terms of offering you support and advice, I think it is one of the most effective things that we can do for you, which doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. And we'd love to hear from you when you're listening to these podcasts, like the people who pop into our DMs and stuff and, repeat back some of Laura's random sayings. Always makes us laugh. So definitely continue to do that.
It's when people have come in and say things to us and we recorded it several weeks before and then we're both like, what does that comment mean? Like the other one the other day, we were like, what does that mean? And then I had to say to Laura, that's something you said on a podcast. And you were like, oh shit, yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I can't remember what I did like half an hour ago, let alone what I said on a podcast 6 months ago.
Same.
Oh, I love it.
So we'll continuing to be here every week on the podcast, and we're also going to continue with all the support via the website, all the resources that we put on the website, the blogs, everything on there. We'll add to that and tweak and change that as we go. So obviously go and dive into there. If you've never really been on our website, there's a load of stuff on there, loads of resources. So go ahead there. It's just the2lauras.com. So that will continue to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
But our energies and our time is going to be more focused then on our paying customers. So that will be the toolkit and obviously our inner hub, so the membership.
And this is something that we would preach to people on podcasts so often. Look after your paying customers. Look after your, it's only right that we practice what we preach. You as a social media manager wouldn't give more time and effort to somebody who isn't paying you versus somebody who is paying you.
Well, you shouldn't be.
Yeah. So that's what, our priority has always been, to help our paying customers, but even more so moving into 2025.
And I think something that people have always asked us, always, is, does the toolkit come with support?
Yes.
And we've always pushed people in the direction of the free group, because we are there. I probably approve 90% of those posts in there. Obviously, we don't reply to all of them because it's not necessary, but we reply to the ones that are necessary or we can help. And that does take up a lot of our time.
Yeah. And it's difficult, isn't it, to help people with toolkit-specific questions in a free group where other people don't have the toolkit.
Yeah.
It's like, how far do you go with the help without making somebody who's paid for something, feel like, you're giving everything to people who haven't paid for something? It's difficult.
Exactly.
It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, and people will share links from the toolkit in there and we can't approve them. It's a bit more of a nightmare. So we're looking forward to just throwing all of our time and effort, and we don't have much time, which is one of the reasons why we've done this. So all of our efforts are for people who have, committed to wanting to improve their business via the toolkit or the membership. So one of the things we are really excited about is having that dedicated support for toolkit owners in 2025. And we're actually doing that on Slack, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And much more, I feel like it's much more intimate in a group.
Yeah. No algorithm to battle.
Yeah.
No other distractions from, your friends sharing a picture of their cat or whatever.
Yeah. People are much more intentional, I think, because you've got to intentionally make the effort to go into the community and engage and get what you need from it.
And we're in a few different Slack communities now, aren't we? And I actually much prefer being in a Slack community than a Facebook community, even though the setup is quite similar in that you could have, start a post, and then you can have the replies on the threads. It feels much more private in a weird way. I feel like much more confident to ask things there.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think in the group now, so the free group has got, I think it's just shy of 9,000 people in there now. And I do think people are like, oh, who's in here?
Yeah.
And we've always tried to only allow social media managers in there. But obviously, if people just tell us they're a social media manager, we're not going to go and check everybody who requests to join that group. Although I was looking at the stats, we decline more people into that group than we accept people. But anyway, that's a different thing. So I think that people hold back a bit, don't they? They're like, who is in here? Is my client in here? Is there anyone who knows me? Can I ask a Billy Basic question, or are people going to judge me? Because when a group gets bigger, you just don't know who's in there, who's watching.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Slack community, it's going to be much more kind of intimate. We're not going to have 9,000 people in there. So you can feel much more comfortable about asking.
Everyone will be on the same journey because it's specifically to help you as you're going through the social media managers toolkit. So like the 12 months kind of program, people will be at different stages depending on where they are in the program, depending on when they've joined, but you'll all be on a similar journey. And you'll all be celebrating, the same milestones, just at different points. So it's going to be a much nicer kind of community.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, definitely. Like we've run various different courses in the past, and whenever we've had that kind of cohort community feel, so many amazing friendships and kind of collaborations have been built out of that, and that's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, and it's nice for us to get to know people better, and it's hard in a group of 9,000 social media managers when 50% of them are called Emily and Sarah. It's really confusing to know who's who. There's a lot of Lauras as well.
Definitely.
So it will be. I'm excited about having that kind of opportunity to get to know people. And I think what I'm also quite excited about is how, because we're using Slack, that space can be really organised.
Yeah.
It's going to be much easier for you to get the support you need about whatever you need, to find the resources that you need to get that support from us. We'll have like weekly check-ins to see how everyone's doing. We're going to have those monthly calls, which we'll definitely kind of get to know each other better on those calls. It's just going to feel organised, secure, safe, supportive, fun.
Yeah, and what you were saying earlier about how when you're in a free Facebook group or you get free resources, you don't really take action. We've built in incentives into the toolkit, which partly will be in the community, that will actually incentivize and motivate you to take action. Because like it's frustrating for you as a person if you can't move along in your business and, you know, you're not making progress. But it's equally frustrating for us because we're like, we know you can do it. We know if you just do this thing, this, you know, whatever will happen. And so by building these kind of motivational milestones in, I think it's going to really help people to make progress, possibly even faster than they would have done, but definitely more than, you know, there'll be a higher percentage of people who will make that progress, which I'm quite excited about.
Yeah. Yeah. And me. It's exciting. See, I'm glad we've done all these positives because at the start I was feeling a bit like, oh my God, what are we doing? Now I'm like, yes, this is 100%
this is a whole
the right
new
thing
era.
to do.
This is going to be a much better era than the previous
all right,
one.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, we're not allowed to say eras anymore. That being Taylor. Okay.
Don't know,
well, anyway, it will be a whole new era. Maybe we need to release an album and, you know, make $1 billion off it. Yeah, go on tour. Although that would involve me leaving my house, so maybe not. Maybe we won't do that. But yeah, I am excited. Now we have got to the end of this podcast. I am excited about the group closing. Can we just do it tomorrow? You know, do we have to wait until the 31st? Should we just... No, okay.
No, I think we should just, you know, give people fair warning.
Okay, fair enough. So if you have been kind of sitting on the fence for a while, wondering about whether or not you should dive into the Social Media Managers Toolkit, or if you're listening to this thinking, oh my God, but the Facebook group, what am I going to do? Come into the toolkit. Like, grab the Social Media Managers Toolkit. It's open for you now. The link will be in the show notes, or you can go to thetwolauras.com/toolkit. And in that, you'll get all of the support that we've just spoken about for the next 12 months, but you'll also get all of the training that you need to help you to grow an amazing business, to help you to win those 4-figure clients, to help you to work with them and retain them. You get all of the templates that you've heard us talking about so many times on the podcast, and all of the incentives that I've just spoken to you about will help you to take that action as well. So the link again is in the show notes, or it's thetwolauras.com/toolkit.
Yeah, and just a reminder then that the group is closing on January the 31st, 2025.
Yeah, so when we're back, same time, same place next week, we will be groupless.
Yeah, although I don't think
weird.
that really matters, does it?
No,
well, no, we'll be group. We'll have gained a group. It will just be not. We'll be one Facebook group down.
Yes.
One Slack community up.
Nice. Love it. There we go. Well, there we go. We'll see you. If we do look a bit different, it's because obviously we've got Slack on us and not a group, but hopefully that will get rid of some of the wrinkles. But yeah, before we go, I would love to know what your thoughts are on this whole change. So drop into our DMs on Instagram, or pop a group note in the group if the group's still open by the time you're listening to this, and let us know what you think and whether we'll see you in Slack.
Yeah, especially if you've been around a while. I'd love to know your perception of how the group is now compared to how it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
share some nostalgia with us.
Yeah, let's chat. Yeah. Just careful what you say if you were here in the first week.
Yeah, we won't go into more of that on the podcast.
Yeah.
On that cliffhanger, I feel like we need some duff-duffs now. Duff, 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 duff.
That's not going to mean anything to anyone who's not in the UK.
No, totally. Oh, well, never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Same time, same place next week. See you then. Bye.